I think there are two reasons why Harry and Meghan might go to Portugal. One of them is the one that you mentioned, that because he's very close to Princess Eugenie, his cousin, Prince Andrew's daughter, and her husband, Jack Brooksbank. They get on very well together. They seem to be the main members of the family who are still very much in touch with Prince Harry, which is a good link, actually. And then, of course, the other reason is that there is always this fear that if Donald Trump gets re-elected as president, that he will
Mm.
remove Prince Harry from America. And it's exactly the sort of thing that he would do, because first of all, it would sort of show, his strength and his power, that he can do it. Secondly, he has been irritated, I think, in the past by things that Meghan Markle has said about him and probably Prince Harry as well. And the reason for that would have been that when Prince Harry went to America and filled in his forms, as far as we know, he didn't mention, or it was overlooked, that he had had some sort of connection with drugs. Nothing very serious, but in America they take that very seriously. And if you fill it in like that, then you're not allowed to take up residence there. So he would be completely in his rights to do that. And so they might be looking for an alternative residence. I don't think that going to Portugal is particularly a way of getting back into royal life. And I'm not so sure that he's really keen to do that. I mean, I'm sure he's keen to open the dialogue. But also I've always been thinking, I always thought the best thing for him would be that he should come home. But I think in a way, more I think about it, that would be such a distraction because he attracts so much publicity that it would deflect from the main message of the royal family, which is one of service, to the United Kingdom and Commonwealth and doing things for the benefit of all of us rather than for themselves. And so I don't think it would be very constructive. Of course, Portugal itself is a very, very nice place. That place where they've been looking, Melides, is in a very, very beautiful part of Portugal, somewhat south of Lisbon. I mean, I was in Portugal in the summer and I went to Caparica, which is just this is said to be the most beautiful beach in the world on the Atlantic coast. And they are a little bit further south there. So, there's plenty of reasons why you
Mm.
want to go and live there. I would have thought that they would be perfectly safe in Portugal, and a great deal safer than going to Colombia, which they were perfectly happy to do, which is one of the most dangerous countries in the world. And this whole business of him refusing to come back to Britain because of the security thing seems to be a sort of rather a kind of touchy sort of row he's having with, the whole security issue. I mean, most times when he would have come, for example, when he came over on his own to the coronation, he would have been covered by the blanket security given to all the royal guests attending that ceremony. So I think that's slightly exaggerated in my view. But I would have thought it was much more that, there was to be a base near his cousin in a beautiful place, a nice place to bring up the children. Obviously, it would be more accessible to Europe generally. Portugal's very accessible to all parts of Europe, whereas California is a long way away. And, maybe he doesn't like the Californian way of life. I would imagine that would be quite alien to him. So I think there are many other reasons why he might wish to settle there. It may just be that they want an alternative, an extra home, to go to in the summer. I mean, if they're making lots of money, maybe they can afford to have two bases. I think it's very striking that Eugenie and Prince Harry have this great bond of friendship, and we've heard stories in the past about how Meghan Markle has isolated him from his friends and that they've been pushed out and he isn't really allowed to see them and things like that, which in which there may be some truth. But certainly she's been over to California. We've seen pictures of her with him. And so obviously, she is right in there. And that has to be a really good thing because she's a very nice girl and she's obviously they get on well together. And so it's a link because you did say he comes over to see the king quite often. Actually, he doesn't. I mean, he saw him briefly earlier this year when he had the cancer scare, and only for a few minutes, and he hasn't seen him since. And we don't know to what extent there is any sort of relationship between them at the moment. I mean, the king's got a lot of things to get on with, and not apart from getting well, he's got his big tour to Australia. He's got all the things that kings have to do, and I suspect that. I mean, the message that we're getting is that, Prince Harry just needs to sort himself out. I mean, the king's not going to waste much time concerning himself with his issues. But he's left the door wide open for him should he ever wish to return. I think you'll find he's not the only British citizen heading off to Portugal. I mean, quite a lot of people are quite worried about what's going to happen when we get the budget and the taxes and people who have high incomes and, the sort of people who are going to be attacked by the Labour government. I think I've certainly heard of quite a lot of people who are resettling in Portugal, which is a lovely country to live in. And so he may well have enormous advantages from the probably from the tax point of view and also from cost of living, by the way, point of view. The food in Portugal is very reasonably priced, and I can see many reasons why he would find that advantageous. And you touched on the question of whether he would find it more accessible when he wants to go to other places in Europe. Yes, obviously. I mean, Portugal is really right in the center of things. You can get anywhere very quickly from Portugal. It's very accessible. So I would think there are a lot of very positive reasons. I think we hear the rumor that it's going to happen, and I would be quite think it's quite likely that it will. I do know one person in Portugal who sent me a message this morning saying, "Oh, for heaven's sake, we don't want them here." But that's just one person. I really can't answer that because they give them a chance. I think they keep themselves to themselves very largely, and I think the Portuguese are very much live and let live people. They may well find. I mean, we don't know. We don't hear much about what Princess Eugenie and Jack Brooksbank get up to in Portugal. They're left very much in peace, as far as I can see. So this could be a very positive step all round. How the Portuguese will react to them, I suppose, will depend how they behave when they get there, if they do.